Hello, everybody. It is Thursday. I don't even know what date it is. January 14th. And welcome to Think About It Thursdays. I hope you enjoyed that fancy, countdown. That's new for me. I do want to say that we're having an issue with Facebook today. As I can see, there is a lag. Hold on one second. I am going to share, for those of you on YouTube, I don't know if this will help you, but I'm going to share our stream onto the Facebook right now. So hold on one second. Unfortunately, Restream did warn me and said that they were having an issue. So here we go. Think About It Thursdays. This is a good opportunity to let everyone know that our special guest today is the wonderful Dorothy Salkin, who has been a wonderful viewer of Think About It Thursdays, and I'm just so happy to have her on. So we are live on YouTube. It looks like we're not on Facebook today. So let me just paste that. One second, and then I will introduce Dorothy. Here we go. There we go. All right. Publish. Phew. Okay. So let's see. We're doing two special Think About It Thursdays this month, one with Dorothy, and in 2 weeks it's Tu B'Shvat, and I will be joining the wonderful Michelle Aaron to learn about Tu B'Shvat, the birthday of our trees, and to make tree challah. So get ready to make chalot shaped as eitzim. That's challah shaped as trees. So let's see if I can turn on this little, there's Dorothy right there. That's a picture of Dorothy. Now she is live with us, but first we'll just look at her for a second and ooh and ah over her beautiful culinary outfit, which she will speak about, and her pineapple. We'll have to get more info about your pineapple, Dorothy. And before we start, I just wanted to give you a little bit about Dorothy. But actually, let's bring her on. Are you ready, everybody? 1, 2, here she comes. I'm going to fix it first. 1, 2, 3. There she is. Hello, Dorothy.
Hi.
Dorothy, you look wonderful. Your atmosphere, the lighting on your face, it's amazing. After almost a year in this pandemic, yesterday we worked together on moving your camera and looking right in the camera screen. So welcome. I'm so happy that you are joining us today.
Glad to be here.
Once again, if you have friends or family who are going to watch on Facebook, I just reposted the YouTube link. So I can see more people are joining as we go through. So I'm going to give a little bio about Dorothy. So Dorothy Salkin is an active member of Temple Emmanuel and enjoys Shabbat morning minyan every Saturday. Every Saturday, I love seeing you welcoming everybody. It's wonderful. And you're the chair of Discussion Without Dessert for High Village LA, which, if you weren't there, I am hearing was a wonderful packed session last night about the COVID vaccine. So Mazel Tov, Dorothy. And she's also the vice president of the Women's Guild of Cedar Sinai and a member of the Cedars Board of Governors Executive Committee, and the board of Hillel at UCLA, and the board of the UCLA's Women in Philanthropy. So Dorothy is just not involved at all in anything. She just sits around, and no. I'm just so happy that you made the time to meet with me today. And also her hobbies are, I didn't know this one, playing the harp, gardening, cooking, and baking, seeing UCLA men's basketball games, and spending time up at the Salkins' second home in Lake Arrowhead. She is the proud grandmother of fraternal twins Margalit and Daniel, who celebrated their B'nai Mitzvah, yes they did, at TBH on February 2nd, 2020. She has been married to Avram Salkin for 58 years. There's a weird, hold on one second, guys. Let me turn off There we go. There was a weird thing on my face. So Dorothy, first of all, I just want to say that, of course, I had the honor to do Margalit, and Daniel's B'nai Mitzvah, and I'm now realizing that it was really right before the pandemic.
Yes, if they hadn't had the B'nai Mitzvah that day, I fear that they would have not been able to have it live.
Well, I'm just so happy that they that time is just so, it just escapes me right now. I don't know. I couldn't tell you if their B'nai Mitzvah was a year ago or 3 years ago. So, but of course it was memorable. Hello, Jay. If you guys are here, please write in and say hello. So I didn't know, as you can tell from Dorothy's extensive bio, I actually didn't know exactly what Dorothy was going to want to talk about today. I don't know. I thought maybe the Jewish world. I mean, obviously, Judaism really rolls through your veins, and I think it's a part of everything. We'll talk about that today. But why don't you? I gave a little intro. Is there anything else you want the people to know before we go on with what we're really going to be talking about today?
Well, a couple of things. I'm known for never being at a loss for words. So if I ramble on too much, then I'll say that's enough. Okay. I like to say I love everything about being Jewish, whether it's food, whether it's shul services, whether it's the music with Cantor, Lizzie, Weiss singing, of course, always with Rabbi Aaron playing the guitar. But it makes my life happy, and of all the things that I do, particularly on a Saturday morning, I love to be able to come and connect with my Jewish, and I look forward to that every week, not every week, every Saturday, but no matter how busy I am, and that's my high point of the week. Friday night doesn't work for us, and I look forward to that every week. It's usually Shabbat dinner, and at 6:15 always comes when we're at Shabbat dinner. So right. That's why. But Saturday morning is precious.
I'm so glad, and I was just telling Dorothy though that any of our programs that air on Facebook or YouTube, you can watch anytime. So if you're bored one night, you can catch a Friday night service. I'll use this moment to tell everybody to join us tomorrow night. Yeah, tomorrow night for our Martin Luther King Jr. service with amazing speakers, and in 2 weeks for our Shabbat Shira, which I'm partnered with 7 other female cantors from around the country. So so Dorothy, maybe you'll watch that on after the morning service, you'll watch the evening service.
Right.
Yeah.
And so dinner will be different. I'm going to be able to watch.
I put some pressure on Dorothy. It's better for you to eat at 5 o'clock anyways.
Oh.
It's better for your digestion. No. So it is funny. 6:15 has always been the time that really works for our services, but in my mind, that's dinner time too. So it's very funny that, anyways, years of research has gotten us to 6:15. Okay, so Dorothy, I'm looking at the wrong window. So you joined the temple 4 years ago now?
No, it was 3 years in September.
That's right. So 3.5 years ago, almost now.
Yes, but wow. The community of TEBH is so wonderful and engaging that I feel like I've been there all of my life, but it is only 3 years.
Well, we feel like you've belonged forever, and we are very grateful for your participation and just the kind words you say, and for really like putting yourself out there and being on a talk show in the middle of a Thursday morning. So thank you. All right. So Dorothy.
Yes.
Again, of all things that we were going to talk about, you made it very clear. We're talking about cooking. Cooking is the way to many Jews' hearts, right? And I think you have one of we'll talk about this later, but I know both your grandkids love cooking and have become quite the chefs. So, a baker and a chef, right?
Yes.
And so let's go back to how that happened. Let's see, Daniel, and are those hats? Or those, what are those?
These are
Oh, they're aprons.
they're the tiny aprons that at the age of 3, I started cooking with them and teaching them. So
Oh
here
my
are
goodness.
little Marguerite and little Daniel, who are now 14.
Yeah. Awesome. I hope they're gonna have to watch this later, but I would assume they're in school right now, whatever that means these days.
No, they are.
Okay, so hold on. I had a lit. Oh, I see. I did it here because I would like to. Hold on one second, everybody. I'm sorry for technological. Okay, so we're talking about baking. So let's give a little bit of background of, where your interest started. Did it come from your own parents and what influenced you? And how did it become such an important part of your life today?
Okay. First of all, our home was we originally Orthodox Jews, and then we were conservative, and the home was kosher, and my mom was a really very very good cook, what I call a traditional kosher Ashkenazi kind of cook, and I loved to be in the kitchen watching her, and I picked up things watching her and saw how happy she was. She was always humming or singing when she was cooking. And my nieces and nephews would come over and they loved to be with her in the kitchen too. And somehow I guess I started feeling the joy of being in the kitchen and how it brings family together. And growing up, I tried to, I guess, I don't know that I did that intentionally, but I just picked up all kinds of things that she was doing. And I began saying I wanted to start cooking too. And so when I was, I guess, my freshman year at the University of Cincinnati, I became involved in Hillel. And they needed to have somebody cooking for a meal for one day a week for the students.
Oh,
Of course, I didn't have anything else to do, and so I volunteered to do that. And that began my cooking teaching. And I must say that my nieces and nephews, this is important part of my life because of I'm the baby of the family, and so my brother and sister were grown when I was little, and I had nieces and nephews that grew up just a few years younger than I. So I've never been Aunt Dorothy. I've always been Dubsy, and Dubsy loved to do everything with the nieces and nephews, particularly my niece in Cincinnati, Anita, who's watching right now,
hello, Anita.
is, and she's a grandmother now, also. Anyway, and we always did cooking things together, whether it was cookies, whatever. So then going on into when I was at the University of Cincinnati, I decided I should take some cooking classes. But because I was preparing to be a teacher, I didn't know how that would play into how that would relate to when I had other things to learn about teaching technique. And so I took the cooking class and I went, this is it. I've really got to do more with this. As I progressed, as I went on, I just more and more I found myself reading. I began collecting cookbooks, and usually kosher, usually Jewish. But it's all right. Maria Child was good, I thought at that time, and then I realized too labor intensive. You got to cut this out, and you got to shorten what you're doing. Make your own pasta. You can buy the pasta. You don't have to do it. Shortcuts and not labor intensive.
Right.
And always when we became married in 1962, Abram and I entertained a great deal. And no matter how many people we had, I always did all the cooking. Always had help to help me clean up or do the cleanup. Excuse me. But always entertaining. And so we had a lot of politicians, and we had sometimes people in showbiz, because of the size of our yard, and that they liked the food, I guess. Um, I began taking classes with favorite chefs, and my two favorites at the time, and some of the viewers probably have the cookbooks. Marlene Sarusky, who she was my idol, and I also loved, in later years, Susie Fishbein, and her those if you're looking to for me to recommend who to cookbooks to get, I would say go with anything from Susie Fishbein, anything from Marlene Sarusky, and my favorite cookbook right now, by the way, is The Silver Platter.
Oh, let me zoom in on that a little.
And
Oh, let's see. Put that. There you go. Perfect. Silver platter.
there, can you see? Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
I have now, in back of me, I'm in my sitting room. You can see one of my bookcases. What happened was I designed my kitchen. It took me, and I'm not kidding, it took me 10 years to design the kitchen, because I went to every cooking show or exhibition I could see, trying to decide, do you have a counter that is wood, or do you have some kind of stone? And I realized granite was the way to go. And so the architect that worked with me, or that I worked with, I think it was I working with him, I have a 12 and a half foot island in my kitchen, which you'll see in one of the pictures.
Should I show, or should you want to talk about it?
And it's 37 and a half inches wide. Why, Dorothy? Why do you have such a huge counter? because for family celebrations and for all holiday celebrations, the counter became the buffet. But for cooking and prep, I could mess it up to my heart's content and have a number of things going at the same time. When my children, Valerie and Ken, were grown, I decided I wanted to do something to bring kosher Jewish cooking to the young women in the congregation that we belong to. And so it was Cooking with Dorothy on Tuesdays, kind of like the Thursdays. And
think about it, Thursdays, Cooking with Dorothy Tuesdays.
With Tuesdays, right? We should do that.
Yeah.
I do.
You could teach. It could be teaching Cantor Weiss how to cook on Tuesdays.
On Tuesdays. And how would I get the students? And I decided what I wanted to do was to teach young women how to cook kosher, how to cook good stuff. And where would I get the young women? Well, in order to be in my class, they had to have a child in Jewish preschool, a child in religious school, a child in confirmation, a child in or Hebrew High, one or more, as long as they had a child. And people I heard from women that were my contemporaries, that's not fair. You're discriminating. Why can't we be in the class? And of course, I would say, because my objective is to help these young women learn how to do. So it was wonderful. We had Tuesdays. I'm trying to think, 9 to 12. We did a 3-course meal. I did obviously a lot of the prep before, but I wanted them to learn how to make it. And they learned to say kugel and not noodle pudding. That's kugel.
Noodle pudding. I've never called it noodle pudding.
Or kegel, I heard. No. And not to say matzo balls, but to say knedel. And I said, if anybody says matzo balls, forget it.
It doesn't matter if you have 12 kids. You have to say.
So the 12, I accepted 12 students at a time. And it was so much fun. And I loved, even to this day, and we're talking, I think those cooking years were about 1988 to 1998. That was the cooking time. I still get calls and notes from students who say, Dorothy, even my mother-in-law likes whatever it was. So much fun. Well,
my mother-in-law.
and Margaret in not being born in 2006. And I thought, wouldn't it be wonderful for these children to learn how to cook and to love, to love cooking, to love being Jewish, doing Jewish cooking. And so I started with them, and you saw the little aprons that they had.
We'll show a picture of them soon. Dorothy, I want to remind you to look up into that camera so people can
sorry
see
about
there.
I'm getting carried away with my love here.
And in a moment, we gotta start sharing pictures. But keep going. So the grandkids were born in 2006.
Yes. So and when they were 3, I started. Am I looking up okay now?
You are.
Okay. I started cooking with them. Simple things. The first request was to learn to make. They requested it schnitzel because they loved schnitzel from going to Israel.
Right.
Okay. So we started at the age of 3 with schnitzel, and we graduated to chicken soup. We graduated to challah. Now at the age of 14, they can make a full meal of anything that you can imagine and create. Daniel corrects me. He taught me in the last year how to get juice out of lemons. He makes the most wonderful sauces. And Margot, the pro at desserts, she can make a dessert like you'd see from Elat or any of the other fine bakeries.
Do they help cook when? Well, I mean, I know the pandemic is a little different. I know you've seen them a little, but like, do they help cook on Shabbat?
Oh yes, we were there. We were at their house on last Shabbat.
Oh, perfect.
And we had a marvelous dish of barley, which I had never cooked with. I have never had or cooked with it, and mushrooms, 2 kinds of mushrooms, and onion, and it was delicious. It reminded me of kasha and varnishkas.
Yes, my dad's favorite.
Bow ties,
Yep.
but delicious stuff. And then she made the dessert, the most out of the world chocolate brownies. And you say, "Oh, brownies, big." No. These were brownies.
All right. Well, you know where my office is, and Daniel. I mean, I'm waiting for some challah, chicken soup, and brownies. All those things. Okay, so let's show a couple pictures. Thank you to Daniel, the photographer. Well, first of all, this one I just liked because I like to see you in your well, why don't you talk about this will lead into the next picture, which is this picture, room with a stew. But this is in your beautiful kitchen, right?
Right.
And I think that you spoke about that a little bit, but let's talk about this article that was done about you. Room with a stew, kitchen tour showcases personalized design. What else do you have to say about that?
Okay, a lot.
I'm sure.
Okay. As I had said earlier, I was for 10 years I was saving up articles and pictures from every magazine I could find of the best things in a kitchen. And the Santa Monica had at that time this newspaper, The Outlook. And of course there was the Jewish Journal, and there were a lot of other ones. And they asked if they could film my kitchen, because at the time, the year was 1991. At that time, it was innovative for all of the things that I had. So the first article was this room with a stew, a play on the words, room with a view, and the article. The one thing that I said, you can film whatever you want, but no address. I don't want my address in it.
No paparazzi.
I'm sorry?
No paparazzi are allowed to show up at your house.
The kitchen and the article. And then there were a lot of other articles. I have them all on the wall in the room, showing in the kitchen and just enjoying it very much. I went to the next picture that you were going to.
There we go.
Certificate that I got from the CIA. That's not for detectives. That's I
was going to say, this has turned to a very different conversation. The CIA, the
Oh, there-
Culinary Institute
of America.
of America. That makes sense.
And what's unusual about it was not going there and having the time of my life doing that, but
Oops, oops, sorry. I don't know what happened there. Okay, there we go.
Ken, who loves to cook and loves food also. I wonder why. Anyway, he went with me for the week, and we were enjoyed it. He would get up at early in the morning at 6 o'clock and run through the grape vineyards, and I'm like, oh, we have to get up, or I have to get up. We weren't together. We weren't in the same room. And I love that. I love the certificate, and it brings back very wonderful memories.
Awesome. December 2000. Believe it or not, 21 years ago. So I've been asked by our social media person. That's why I look crazy, but I'm taking a picture of us for our social media. Are you ready to smile, Dorothy?
I'm smiling.
Okay, there we go. All right, I didn't forget. I'm very happy. All right, let's talk cookbooks.
Oh boy. Well, this is, as I said, I think I have, I don't know if I've ever counted them, but I'll guess probably 150 cookbooks. This is one segment of them. And these, I'm looking to see what these are. These are
Book of Soups, American. Let's see if I can.
Yeah, this is.
I might actually be able to. Oh, there. Oh, look at technology.
Bottom, but I have a separate library of all Jewish cookbooks. There's one up at the top that was kosher.
There's the Hadassah Everyday Cookbook. Yeah.
I love the Hadassah cookbook.
The Hadassah cookbook. Here's the Kosher Palette. America Cooks Kosher.
The palette is a good. I could go through each one and tell you. Oh, if you're buying a cookbook for anyone that's watching,
yes,
always make sure that you check out what the contents are, because I've gotten taken over some of the years where I thought, oh, that's a great title. You have to know what's in the book. And yep. Sometimes I have cookbooks that there's only one recipe. There's a recipe called the Frog Commissary Cookbook that my niece Anita, who is in Cincinnati, sent to me. It's worth it to have the cookbook for that one recipe.
Oh, well, there you go. Oops. Oh, well, that's okay. That's okay. That's the next one.
Oh, here's the next one. This is, I forgot one of my favorite cooking teachers. In fact, she's my friend. Besides my cooking teacher, is Faye Levy. Faye Levy has written a lot of books. Her books are wonderful. Sometimes before the new editors bought the LA Times, she wrote a Jewish holiday column in the LA Times. Faye Levy, Faye Leve. See this book right there, the 1,000 Jewish recipes.
Yeah, this one right here.
Yeah, that's one get that, even if you do not have 200 books in your library.
Okay. So then I see some more modern Mario Batali right here. See Mario Batali. I see a Zach Posen.
Oh, Zach Posen, because my grandniece was in New York, and she worked as in the design studio with Zach, and he wrote. Oh, I should have taken it out to show you. He wrote a special signature or a special message.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, a lot of the books, when I've had the classes with people.
Now, what is the Blue Bloods cookbook?
Oh, you know the television show?
Yep.
All right. That Wendy Goldberg, whose husband produces the show, gave me that cookbook.
Very cool. And then you have, let's see, a Good Cheap Eats. So you have quite the variety. The tea table. I love that I can actually see.
What I love. I love to do English teas. I'm half. My mother was from Manchester, England. My father was from Kiev, Russia, and I love I love my heritage from both sides. But I love to do an English tea. And a lot of times giving showers, I do it as a tea. And the funniest thing that ever happened to me when with a tea, and I have different teapots, beautiful china teapots.
Mhm.
And to me, I think it was the funniest thing. One lady wasn't drinking her tea. Like I said, you know, you don't like, you're okay with the tea. Dorothy, please give me coffee. And I went, it's a tea. I'm not serving coffee. And to this day, I think she was unhappy with me because I wouldn't give her a cup of coffee.
You know, the whole tea thing, I mean, I have a grandmother who, or had a grandmother, may she be a blessing, but she loved peach tea and that's all she drank. And I've actually, she would have a little peach tea with some milk. That was her thing. But it's definitely not a native thing to us Americans to drink tea.
With
But
milk.
I know it's very good for you.
With milk.
With milk. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure. All right, let's see what the next picture. All right, now we're getting to
design.
your design.
As I said, how the design came about. Interesting. I think it's interesting. I hope other people will think. Okay, all of the tile, all of the tile in the kitchen and looking up above was done by hand by a tile artist. And what I wanted the house to be was the recreation of an English garden. My mom loved the garden and loved everything about it so very much. So every room in my house is a different color of the garden. But the kitchen, I guess it won't show anymore, but even in back next to the top of the stove, to the left of it, there's the switch plate is made of tile into the wall.
Yeah, I don't think I can. I
I
can try
wanted
and zoom in. Let's see.
I wanted the kitchen to have to enable me. Oh, so many things to think about.
Yeah,
The water at that time, there wasn't no one had water that you had so you could fill your pot and didn't have to carry it.
Yeah.
The first ones, but I wanted at least 3 ovens because I have so many things going at the same time. So here is the current oven. I had bought. Oh, I had a Viking. The worst thing I ever bought.
Oh, and it gets so much good.
Got rid of it, and I went with Consumer Reports and got this wonderful, which is much better, and you can clean it, and it's a much better one. I don't know if he filmed that. There's a double oven.
No, it
Yeah,
doesn't. But we could move on to this picture. Recipe for a dream kitchen. What was this?
oh, this one was I'm trying to see. Heritage. I guess it was a Jewish newspaper they had at one time.
If it says at the bottom, I know JFS of Santa Monica, but I know I think that must be Jewish.
I don't even remember. But everybody wanted to film it because it was not like anyone else's kitchen. I have sort of racks that pull down underneath the counter where if you're working with 2 or 3 recipes at the same time, you can pull down the counter and have that there so you can see your cookbooks.
Well, I don't know that if I've told you before that my mom was an interior designer, so I'm actually a little bit more familiar with some of this stuff than people would imagine. But and grew up with a beautiful kitchen and saw how my mom took care of it. So, Mom, if you're watching, thank you. Okay, this is the giant 37 feet. No, what was it? I don't know how many feet you said it was, but this is your not only your buffet but your preparation space.
12 and a half feet wide, long, 37 and a half inches wide. Oh, and back of me on that picture where you can see there's the double oven. And then in back on the counter, that's what I call the bakery. And every part of the kitchen has a section for what I'm doing. That's the bakery where I do whatever, pies, cakes, challah. And
you spend a lot of time in there.
Yes.
Now I have a question, Dorothy. Do you? This is like a weird, and I'm ashamed to ask it, but when you're in the kitchen, do you listen to music? Do you have a television in there? Do you like to be in your mind? How do you cook best?
How did you ask me that question? Because
okay.
The architect and I had a disagreement about this. Of course, I won. And what happened was he said, Dorothy, you need to have a television set in your kitchen because you'll want to do that. And I
Right.
said, when you're cooking, you don't, you, at least for me, when I'm cooking or baking, you don't want to be distracted and looking at something. That's how I feel. What I like is I love classical music, or I love any kind of music. I'm trying to think of. I have, for example, Cantor Mayor Finkelstein. I love his compositions and his music, and I will play that. I will play that. But usually, I like the sound of the classical music because it's very calming. I don't get distracted, and I know that if I was if I had a TV in the kitchen, I'd be putting water in the something that I shouldn't be doing putting it.
Yeah. See, so for me, I agree with that. But for cleaning, it's a good distraction. Unfortunately, these days I'm cleaning and I'm watching CNN or something, and it becomes an angry clean. But maybe that helps me.
Whatever works.
Whatever works. Okay, I think we have one more picture here. The most important picture.
Oh, I know.
No, wait. Well, this is a good one. This is you in your. There's one more that I was thinking of, but
I forgot it.
if we scroll in, you're wearing
Culinary Institute of America personalized my chef's jacket.
That's very fun. That's so fun. Okay, but most importantly, dun 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 dun. There we go.
There are my two wonderful assistants, Marguerite Salkin and Daniel Salkin, the best grandchildren in the world.
Oh, that is so sweet. And I'm so happy that they have learned to cook with you. That's just so special. Okay, so let me see 1 second here. Okay, a couple questions. What's your absolute favorite food? It doesn't have to be something you cook, but let's do both. What do you love to order? Like if you ever order in food or go to a restaurant pre-pandemic, and what do you love to cook?
My favorite thing to order in a restaurant is salmon, but the salmon has to be baked and not be fishy tasting. Because I would send it. Oh, why salmon? There's so many other choices.
Exactly.
My husband and my children growing up, and my husband to this day, do not eat any kind of fish. So didn't learn. I do know how to do it, but I didn't make fish at home. So the treat for me is to go out and have salmon. My niece Anita said to me in the last couple of days, you always order salmon when you go out. I said, don't ask.
That's actually that's a great reason. Well, I can't make it at home, so you treat yourself to it when you go out. And do you like a lemon garlic?
Yeah.
Do you like a teriyaki? What do you like? Like
keep going. All of that.
All of it. Okay. I actually made a delicious. I was very maybe I was getting ready to for this conversation. I made it was a honey garlic salmon that I found a recipe. Sometimes I'll type in a reminder like how to bake salmon, so I remember like what temperature to put the oven at, and it came up and it was delicious. It was garlic and I had some organic honey and ginger.
I'm salivating. I want it.
It's really good. And you just saute it a little bit with a little butter, and then it was delicious. So anyone, you can look up honey ginger salmon, something like that. It had a little, go ahead. Okay, and then what is your favorite, I'm going to go backwards a little, it's a Thursday afternoon. You're going to make yourself some lunch. What do you make?
Afternoon. Well, lunch. I look in the refrigerator to see what leftover there is.
Okay. Yes.
He's not big on leftovers. So I'm the repository for whatever we have left over. It might be, whatever, a piece of chicken, some leftover brisket, and just slice it with lettuce, tomato, and challah. Yum.
Yeah. Okay, so you're a person who likes, I like that too. Like you make a good dinner and the next day you have some good leftovers.
Right.
Fantastic. And would you say that you cook a big meal every night of the week?
No.
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 Okay.
I did that, I would have have a weight problem. I can't. I wouldn't do that. And I tried to. The things so many times when we go to the Hollywood Bowl. Well, that's we don't have time to talk about. But I do a full dinner for whoever we invite to go to the Hollywood Bowl with us. I I couldn't. I would never make a full dinner. First of all, time wise, because I do other things, and
Right.
also I try to be very healthy, and
Yeah.
especially now, I find myself coming from a carnivorous person to being a plant oriented person. So I find um, more of my cooking is like this.
Fantastic. That's that giant. Is that a big eggplant on there? All right. So, and do you feel like that's coming from? I mean, I found myself that way more too. Just if I eat meat, it's organic or kosher, etc. But and then I just feel better when I eat when I don't have to worry about it, and I just make vegetables or fruit or things
I
like that.
try in the morning to figure out what I'm going to do. Getting ingredients has that I don't have has been a problem for me, and I'm sure everyone can relate to this. I have had all my groceries delivered since the pandemic began because I really am afraid, frankly, to go into a market. And the downside is they don't pick the right good things that I like.
I know they're not expert produce pickers.
They're not really.
I missed this. Rachel Petru says, number one,
Oh,
Dorothy.
Rachel.
She says, number one, Dorothy, I wish I could hang out in your kitchen. And then she said, what ingredients do you splurge on? For example, do you buy a special flour, a special brand of seasoning? And she also wants to tell you that the UCLA Faculty Center makes a wonderful cold poached salmon with a
Ah,
creamy dill. So you'll have to go there when you can.
okay.
Okay,
What
so
do
ingredients that you splurge on.
okay. Mushrooms. I adore mushrooms. Um, and I like to get whatever, not necessarily the button mushroom, but shiitake, all of the different kinds of. And I was so thrilled to have that
Barley.
barley
Yeah.
barley recipe because you could use two different kinds of mushrooms in it. So mushrooms is one. There are a lot of if I do Asian cooking, I find that I don't have a specific ingredient. The same with Persian cooking. If I try to do something different, what am I going to do here? And so I have to get those ingredients. It was easy.
Rachel said, "Oh, mushrooms! That was unexpected." She's so glad I asked. And then you continue with what you want to splurge, but she also wants to know your favorite prep or cooking style. But so we moved into Asian. And any other ingredients that you're like, you have to buy the most expensive X?
Yeah, no, I understand. Trying to think of what over the years. No, I think those are the things that come to mind. And of course, after the show, I will think of 1,000 more.
Exactly. Well, you can go into YouTube and comment, and then Rachel will see them.
Okay.
So, favorite preparation or cooking style?
Traditional Jewish cooking. I mean, we're talking, oh, tomato and soup, a variety of kugels. I just discovered a new kosher cut of meat that I had not used before, and it's called, what is it called? It's a certain kind of steak. What is it's the rib, like a rib steak, but
Ribeye?
but no, not ribeye. That's ordinary. But
Yeah.
but if instead of a rib steak with the bone, they make it or the butcher cuts it and it's like a thick steak, like a filet mignon would be, and it's the most delicious thing. The most delicious thing. I just made it for the first time last week, and Abram said, "Is this kosher?" It was so good. It was really, really so good.
That's
I
great.
got it's not that one, but I've got another one that I just discovered. Overnight French roast. A French roast is really, really good, and it cooks for 8 hours at 200. And anyone that uses kosher meat, I recommend that. Really, really good. The thing about cooking is, I like I'm kidded kidded a lot by the family. They all say, "It's so good. Why don't you write a cookbook? Why don't you know a lot of things about food? Why don't you write a cookbook?" And I'm saying, because I'm always searching. I'll never know enough about cooking and baking ever, and I love to try new things. Do they all come out perfectly? No way. But and to add to it, to figure out what I'm not doing well. But I remember in my cooking classes, some of the girls would say, "Well, Dorothy, everything you make comes out." Now, fortunately, Lizzie, it did come out in class. But I said, "When it doesn't come out, you know what you do?" And I walked over to the sink, and I went,
You throw it out.
"Dorothy, you throw it away?" And I said, "Absolutely." And no one is perfect. I don't think Julia Child was perfect. I don't think that my friend Marlene Sarosky is, or Faye Levy, or Susie Fishbein, any of them. But if it doesn't come out good, don't cry. Actually,
Well,
I did the first
I
one.
think that's where the practicing part, because if you have 12 people waiting for dinner and it doesn't come out well, then maybe you have an issue.
That God has watched over me with that. I never had that happen, but I've sure had it happen with other things that I've made.
Ay, ay, ay. Okay. Dorothy, you like some crazy facts on Think About It Thursday.
Oh, I love it.
Okay. So we're just going to do a couple because I can't believe about 5 minutes and we're going to be done. We've been talking away, I know. So I am going to pull up, but I'm going to try and do it a little bit in some trivia style and see if I can stump you. I don't know.
I know you will.
Okay. All right. This one, actually, we talked about Asian food. So this is actually, I don't think this one will be so hard for you. But most supermarket wasabi is actually made from fill in the blank. Do you know?
I don't know, but the first time I ever had something that called for that, I said, "Wasabi."
Wasabi.
And I was asked, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Wasabi. It's Asian." And then I learned to pronounce it correct.
Wasabi. Well, the answer is, does anybody know? Jay says peas. Not peas. You got, remember, there's got to be some heat to it. Wasabi. So the answer is horseradish.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a feeling when I told you that it might ring a bell.
Right.
But yeah, people say don't eat. Well, the wasabi's okay, but like ginger apparently has some bad. Yeah, Rachel got it. Horseradish. Yep. There's about a 20-second delay on the live stream, so it takes people. Yep, Rachel, you did get it. All right, let's do another fun one. Wait, there was one that I thought. I'm not doing gross ones. There's a lot of gross food facts, and I don't like it. Okay. Okay, think of crackers, like your favorite crackers. Do you have a favorite cracker?
Yes, I like Wheat Thins, hint of salt.
Oh, yes, I love Wheat Thins. Actually, Trader Joe's does good fake Wheat Thin. But actually, this doesn't really apply to Wheat Thins. But why do most crackers, like saltines, things like that, have holes in them? Is it to make them look pretty? It's not to make them look pretty. Do you know why they have holes in them?
For air.
Exactly. During the baking process, if the crackers have holes in them, it prevents air bubbles from ruining the product. Which, when I think about it, if you ever bought like pita, I don't know, Trader Joe's sells them, like pita crackers. They have the bubbles in them, but I like the bubbles. I like the little hard bubbles. Did you know that, you might know this, that white chocolate doesn't actually have any chocolate in it at all?
I didn't know that, but I don't like. I never met a chocolate I didn't like. We're talking about milk. We're talking about dark, 60% cocoa.
Right? Cacao.
Okay, whatever it is. Like, I can't tell you exactly why. I don't know the reason. I don't like white chocolate.
Well, it's sugar, milk, vanilla, lecithin, and cocoa butter. So there's actually no chocolate in white chocolate. So that might be why.
That's why it's not chocolate.
It's not chocolate. There you go.
Tell me.
I would say this next one, I don't like the fact, but I want to encourage everyone to buy organic salmon. There's been a lot of reports out there. Don't buy farm raised salmon. And because I'm bringing that up because the number 11 fact on my sheet says that farmed salmon is dyed pink. So yeah. So I encourage everyone to buy wild sockeye salmon. Okay. Apparently crackers are worse for your teeth than sugar. Crackers are worse for your teeth than sugar because they stick to your teeth, which ends up being a breeding ground for bacteria. So everybody should brush their teeth after they eat some crackers. I think that's the takeaway there. Let's see, 3 more. What is the most, this is a funny one, stolen food in the world?
Bread?
You would think. But it's cheese.
Cheese.
Cheese is the most stolen. It says here about 4% of all cheese made around the globe ends up stolen. There's even a black market for cheese.
Okay.
I mean, important facts that you never thought you needed to know, but it might come up in conversation. Here's a great Jewish one. A corned beef sandwich was smuggled into space.
Okay. Recently?
An astronaut snuck a sandwich on his spacecraft for a 6-hour mission. When he took the sandwich out in zero gravity, it started falling apart, and he had to put it away before crumbs compromised the spaceship.
I love it. Okay.
Okay. All right. One more. Let's see if I can find one more. Well, by the way, there's peanuts and dynamite. That's not my last fact, but I thought that was very strange. This is a good one this is just a strange one. There is actually a fear of peanut butter. Some people have a legitimate fear of peanut butter. Any guesses why? Besides, it's not allergies.
Oh, I was going to say allergy.
It's an irrational fear of getting peanut butter stuck to the roof of your mouth. And it's actually a phobia. It's called arachibutyrophobia, fear of peanut butter getting stuck to the roof of your mouth. Well, who knew? I don't know that we need anything else in the world to be scared of, but peanut butter apparently is one of those things.
On it, which is the similar kind of thing, sticking to your roof of your mouth.
Yeah, there you go. This was so fun. I loved getting to talk to you more, hearing your whole cooking background. The only problem is now we got to figure out a way to get you to teach a cooking class, or even just with me eventually when we can be back out of quarantine.
One thing, what people don't realize about a cooking class, class involves 10 hours, because first you're looking for the recipe. Then you're getting the ingredients. Then you get the ingredients out.
Yep.
And then the actual preparation. and then the cleanup. It's 10 hours for one class.
Yes, we actually did some years ago. We did a fundraiser for sisterhood, and we had about 10 women who signed up. And I had a different. This will have to do this in the future, but I had a different. I had a host. Our one of our co-president's wives hosted it at her house, and we had a different chef. Some of them were my friends. Actually, even Rabbi Adam Lutz, who's quite a chef himself, came in and taught about latkes. But it was probably more than 10 hours by the time that the chef came up with the menu was, and then we sent the ingredients to be bought, and then the whole class, and then the cleanup. Oh, it was a mess. But it was really, really fun. Dorothy, any closing words before we finish up this Think About It Thursdays?
Yes. I remember when I was first married, the first cooking class I took was with a Jewish guy in at UCLA Extension. And then the rest, he was French, Sacha Shore. But what he said, and I still have his cookbook, always cook with love. Doesn't matter what you cook. Always cook with love. And that's what I would like to conclude with.
That is perfect. Thank you, everybody. We will see you definitely in 2 weeks to learn how to make a challah shaped as a tree, and to talk about Tu B'Shvat a little bit, and to schmooze with Michelle Aaron. So it should be very fun. And with that, we say cook with love.
Definitely.
Treat everybody with kindness. Bye.